What is Christ consciousness? Is it a religious concept, since the word Christ is often associated with Christianity and Jesus Christ? Or is it something that is greater and bigger? This energetic kind of frequency is what I'm going to talk about of Christ consciousness. I'm also going to talk about 3 ways that you can enhance your Christ consciousness. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. My name is Tricia Carr, and I am your host. Well, if it is your first time with me here, either on the YouTube channel or on the podcast, I want to say thank you so much for being here, for checking it out. Welcome. I am a spiritual teacher, a hypnotherapist. I'm an empathic channel, and so basically a psychic and intuitive, and I teach other people how to do that as well as, teaching and guiding people to live from their own spiritual sovereignty. What is Christ consciousness? Well, Christ consciousness is a dynamic and magnetic frequency that really and truly each human is endeavoring to uncover, whether we are aware of it or not. Every human tends to have this sort of pursuit of having meaning in their life, a purpose, a life purpose. And people who come to this spiritual kind of conversation and exploration tend to have that question: what is my purpose? What is my life purpose? And that's what, a lot of religions are kind of based around too, feeling like you have a purposeful reason for this life. What is the meaning of life? That's what Pulp Fiction was about, right? Or that's what they say that was in the briefcase when they opened it and it was like glowing gold. It was somehow that satisfying and awe-inspiring reason, purpose, the meaning of life was in that briefcase. So what Christ consciousness is, and it is associated with Jesus Christ, but I also see it as, and many people who are in metaphysical and mystical mindset and study, is that it's not limited to just that character, that either historical figure or religious figure or whatever, a certain religion claimed that person, that Jesus Christ. But it is more than that, because it is also the Buddhic consciousness. It is Buddha. It is any of the human beings who have created who have ascended, is what we tend to call it. And that isn't necessarily just the ascension that is in the Bible, that Jesus bodily ascended. It's not necessarily that, but perhaps it is that as well. What I think is more important to consider when we talk about Christ frequency is what it means in a manner that is not restricted to any particular one being, one human, because I think it predates even that figure. So let me just sum it up for you, what Christ consciousness really is. It has to do with enlightenment, sure. But really what I think kind of sums it up is spirit or energy, spirit changing form and becoming human, bringing spirit to the plane of a dense material reality and having it change from one form to another, the energy that would be spirit, and having it crystallize into a physical reality. And then you might say that it's also the path backward, having a physical, dense material reality ascend and once again become one with spirit. And so can we actually create Christ consciousness in our life? Can we bring spirit to the earth? And how can we enhance a Christhood pattern? We have so much pursuit of the meaning of life, so much pursuit of, some may look for it in success, some may look for it in fame, some may look for it in just any way where they can feel like they are co-creating or influencing. Maybe influencing is a way that someone may go about it, or something that gives you that, does this mean anything? Am I doing anything that is meaning? Does it feel meaningful to me? It really is that part of us that is in perfect accord with the Creator. And just really that energy is waiting, it's knocking to find expression in our lives. And I want to tell you that if you feel that sense inside of you of an energy waiting to find expression in your life, a true, meaningful expression. That is your alignment with the creator energy, your alignment with source energy. And I want to say that while you may tap into that waiting to be expressed into this life, into your life and into our lives, we're waiting for it from you as well. And I hope that someone could feel that right now. That the truth of what you are, your Christ consciousness, your pattern that is deep in every fiber, your cellular identity of consciousness, the truth, your I am, your purity of the expression of Creator. We need that. We want that. We're waiting for it as well. And you bless us with that. So how do we live in that frequency stream of Christ consciousness? How do we activate a Christ pattern of energy in our life? So one, how do we activate a frequency stream of Christ consciousness? The first way that we do this is to be in your own energy. Dwell in the purity, the deep down purity of your own energy. Now, some may call this mindfulness, and that is definitely the portal to your own energy. Your true energy, not the narratives that are negative, not the out of control thought patterns, not the running of the mind jibber jabber, not the fight flight, not the self-rejection, but the quiet. Down into that quiet, that stillness, and also that power. Yes, that's a paradox, the stillness and the power. That is how powerful you are. That is truly what you are, down in that, or up in that, because inside is without as well. That energy is who you truly are. And so when we feel disowned of ourselves, by ourselves, whether that's by guilt, shame, or blame, when we feel disowned of our brothers and sisters, of our fellow humans, and feeling disenfranchised, then we are not really in the connection to that truth of our own energy. When we are feeling overly sensitized, too empathic, can't find our identity, even when we are lacking in confidence or self-assuredness, what is being called for us to do is to go and be in the depths and purity of our energy. I say to those who say, I'm an empath, I'm too sensitive, that the best way for you to be able to separate your energy from others' energies, and in a way that is healthy for you, and healthy for others, by the way, is to know what your energy feels like. You have to be in it. You have to spend time with it every day, y'all. Now, some think that meditation and mindfulness practices are kind of like frosting on the cake. It's like gravy. It's like the little things that you do. It's like having dessert, or that it's hard or it's difficult or you don't have time. I have to tell you that I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I have witnessed it to be a false narrative in my life, and the evidences of just using that true energy of what you are to make it priority one changes everything in your life. Changes everything in your life. It is more important for you to connect with the truth of who you are, being in your own energy, than almost anything else, because you can't bring the truth of who you are to any situation if you are not connected to it. So people say, I don't have time to meditate. We don't have time not to meditate or pray or do our mindfulness or affirmations or whatever it is that is your practice that brings you down into the truth of who you are, which is that pure positive stream of energy. And that is where you find that hook in to this flowing stream of Christ consciousness, bringing spirit into the earth. So, number one, once again, is to be in your own energy. The second way that you can enhance Christ consciousness in your life is to reference your own pure energy as authority. Reference it as the authority. And then continue to reference it with faith. So let me explain what this means. We have so much in our lives, our lifestyle, knocking on the door of our consciousness, knocking on the door of our energy, taking pieces of our energy, putting the energy in, displacing the true energy of what we are with information, with message units, with static. And we feel other referencing. That God in me authority, that purity of your energy is what drives your life. It really is. And it is the authority for what is right for you. And what is right for you may not be right for someone else, and that's okay, because we are all individuals. And when we feel something that is other referencing, that could be this sense of being in blame, shame, or guilt. And I'm actually going to address that in the third point in a moment. But anytime we feel separate from ourselves or from another, and anytime we feel like we don't have the power or confidence to feel secure in our identity and the way that we allow something into our life, our mind, body, and spirit, this is this referencing of your sovereignty and your authority. And what I want to point out about the word authority is the ability and responsibility to be the author of your life. Wouldn't that be wonderful? If you can imagine being the absolute most masterful, empowered, detail-oriented, able to write it out, your life, and able to do that to the most literal and extreme degree, wouldn't that be wonderful? Because who else could you trust more than yourself? And by being deep into your own energy and connecting with the truth of who you are, who loves others and takes care of others, because how could you are not an island, you're not separate from your brothers and sisters in your environment and the ecosystem. And so you would take care, if you were from the purity of your essence, your life would be pristine, perfect, and you would be bringing spirit to the earth in that very satisfying way. So once again, referencing your own authority is the ability and ability to respond to your life and to author it entirely. And then I said to continue to reference it with faith. So faith is also a frequency. Faith is revisiting an energy. That's what we're talking when I say this pattern of Christ energy. This means I come back to it. I come back to it. I come back to it. I come back to the referencing of my own energy. That is what faith is. It's coming back to the purity. It's coming back to the truth. It's coming back to home base, coming back to the one. That's what faith is. It's a frequency. It's a flow. So that's number 2. Reference your own pure energy as the authority, the author of your life, and continue referencing that energy with this flow of faith. Number 3, the third way that you can enhance the frequency stream of Christ consciousness in your life and to activate the pattern, the Christ pattern, is to be willing to make amends and atonements. To make amend and atonement, but to not be willing to stay in anything that's like self-punishment. So let's break that down a little bit. When we are willing to make amends, so amends means I recognize that I made a mistake, meaning that now from this vantage point, I would like to learn and shift how I move forward. It's a way to say when you notice there is a regret, meaning something I want to now learn from and I want to move forward. And so then we make up the energy of it. We make amends about it. And we acknowledge that we are learning something new. And this often for humans comes with, I'm sorry, or please forgive me, or something along those lines. But see, in order for that to be real, we have to be doing it with ourselves as well. So if it involves another person, when we make amends, we have to have already amended with ourselves. That means that we have to come objective to it, neutral to it. We have to be willing to see the energy of that which we are learning from. Because you know what? When we say, I would like to evolve from that choice, evolve from that, whether it's a choice or it's something that's a point of ignorance, when I evolve from that, I have to see myself from the vantage point of that pure, true energy. I have to see myself from the God in me, the I am energy, and almost disidentify from the self. We have to be the seer then of ourselves. In order to make amends, we have to make amends with ourselves first. And then sometimes the things we make amends for has nothing to do with anyone else in a technical sense or in a sort of literal sense. It can be just the things that we're learning from. I'm looking at a squirrel. The things that we are learning from in our own life and growing from and understanding how to evolve. Amends. Being willing to make amends. That is so powerful. And I'll tell you why in a moment. And then, of course, atonement. Atonement is like when amends are needed, but then you actually want to make up the ground, because if you had a mistake or you did something either out of ignorance or irresponsibility, for example, and you took more energy than was warranted for balance sake, and you want to give back the energy. Sometimes just words do that. Sometimes just the explanation, and sometimes maybe it is some kind of action or other kinds of reparations, but the willingness to make amends and atonement, and this is also for you, again, all of these things have to happen with yourself, whether it's for yourself or with another person, they have to genuinely happen inside of you, and that can only happen by that true purity of your energy. Willing to make amends and atonement, and not willing to stay in a self-punishment or to punish others. Because here's the problem: when we feel guilty, when we're disappointed, then when this punishing, it can be just with our attitude. It's that separation. It can be the blame. It can be the shame. Shame is like blaming the self or something along that line. I mean, shame is a lot more than that. The regret and all of these things that we could do with ourselves or others, these are just an inability or an unwillingness to move into the position of making amends and or atonement if necessary. Recap. Number 1, be in your own energy. That means meditating. That means being in touch with who it is that you truly are. The practice of mindfulness, the affirmations, the positivity. But it's so much more than any of those words. That's why I use so many words about it. Being in the truth of who you are. Setting time every single day, likely toward the beginning of the day, so that you set the pattern in motion, and then maybe more, and then reflecting on it throughout the day, being in deep touch with the truth of who you are in your own energy. That's step 1. Number 2 is to be referencing that pure energy, that true energy, so that it can be the authority of your life, the author of your life, and continuing to reference that authority, that spiritual sovereignty, with this flowing energy of faith, which means to repeatedly, consciously choose to reference your own energy. And third is to be willing, open to making amends and atonement when necessary, and to be willing to stay out of self-punishment, blame, shame, guilt, regret. Just the willingness to make amends. Oh, there's so much freedom in that. That's being a true author of your life. Willing to learn and evolve. This is what I have for you today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.